Welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to show you how I joined this blanket. At the time of filming this design does not have a name yet, but I will make sure I link all the details below. So this is a blanket or a shawl. You can make it any size really, from a blanket to a shawl to a scarf. You can just keep joining squares. It's made of individual squares which I work from the center out, and I use my Botanical Yarns 2022 Advent for this. So it has 24, it's made from 24 20-gram skeins, mini skeins, but you can use any amount of yarn. So one mini skein, 20-gram mini skein made one square, and I had a few grams left over. And you can make these squares bigger, smaller. You can make as many as you want. You can make this into a big king-size blanket. You can make it into a shawl, scarf, anything you want. So it's a very flexible design. You can use mini skeins, you can use leftovers, you can use full skeins. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I join these squares together. So if you're new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns. I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through my website YarnAddict.co.uk. You can find all the links below this video, including links to my social media and how to sign up to my newsletter. And I will also link the pattern for this below this video. In October, in one of my Vlogtober videos, I show a few clips of how I decided which order to put these squares in. I went through a few different options. So if you want to watch that, I'll make sure I link that below and at the end of this video. Okay, so let's look at how to join these squares. I've already joined some of them. So I laid them all out on my table, worked out the placement I wanted, then I took a picture so I can refer back to it. If you can leave it there while you work on it, then that would be ideal. I couldn't, I had to move it at one point. So I took a picture, and then last night when I was joining most of the squares, I kept referring to the picture. So what I've done is I've joined them in strips of 3 to start with, and then I've joined 2 strips of 3 together. So that's what I'm going to show you now, is how I joined them. I decided to use a crochet hook to join them. The pattern in 4-ply uses 3.75mm needles. I'm using a 3.5mm hook to join them. As long as your hook is close to your needle size, it's fine. I tried a 2.5mm hook to start with, and that made the join a little bit too tight. It had no like give in it at all. So now I'm using a 3.5mm. I could use the 4mm, but I'm using a 3.5mm. So as long as you have one that's close to your needle size, that'll be fine. And then just check when you've joined the first one, just check how much give it has, because you want it to have a little bit of give. And then make an adjustment if you need to. Okay, so I'm going to join these two. I'm just going to check my photograph to make sure I'm joining the right end, because I'm not sure if it's that end or the other end, so I'll just check that and be back. Okay, it's a good thing I checked, because I'm actually going to join it like that. So what I do is I hold the two pieces I'm going to join together with the right sides together. So if I put that down here, got the right side facing me, and then I take this one and put it on top with the wrong side facing me, so the right sides are together. And then I find it easier if I hold it up like that to do it. And then you want to find where the corner is. Now what I did when I finished each square was that I tossed the leftover ball in a Ziploc bag, and then I've been using these to join them up. Obviously here where you're joining 2 completely different colours, just choose one of them. Don't worry too much by using the correct colour to join them up. I've just been trying to choose one that's roughly the same. When I'm joining turning the individual squares into strips, I'm just joining 1 square to 1 square. When I join the strips together, I just go across the whole length of 6 squares using the same colour yarn. So you want to find this, that's your yarn over, spine stitch and yarn over. So you want to take that yarn over there and go up to the edge, and if you've used the Russian cast off, which is what the pattern recommends, you should have these kind of almost like chain stitches, I guess, on the end. Anyway, go under the edge, cast off edge, under 2 strands, and then find the same point on the second one. So that's the spine stitch. It's got a yarn over either side, so that's the yarn over I want. So I'm going to go in under there like that. Oh, I've zoomed in a bit more than I normally do, under there like that. Okay, and then leave a tail. I always tend to leave fairly generous tail, about 10 centimeters or so. I have to hook through the stitches, and I hold the tail in my right hand when I start, just to give it some tension, and then I hold the working yarn in my left hand. Just take it over the hook and pull it through, and then take the yarn over the hook and pull it through again, just to kind of fasten it. I didn't do that on all of them, but I do that at the end, so I think it's a good idea to do it. Then I go into the next cast off stitch, under the next why can I not, hang on, there we go. So I have 2 strands of the blue and 2 strands of the purple, yarn over the hook, pull it through, and then hang on, that one didn't go through properly. Let's try that again because it kind of caught on something. There we go. Pull it through, and then just pull the first loop through the second loop on your hook, so you end up with 1 hook, and then go into the next pair of chain stitches. The back one, I don't know whether I've done something funny here when I cast off, but I don't find the back one is easy. Yarn over the hook, pull it through, and then pull the first one through the second one. Next one, hook through, first one through the second one, yarn over, first one through the second one, into the next one. So you have 4 loops on your hook in total from the squares, and then through. If you're new to crochet, this I would say is probably doable, even if you're new to crochet. Obviously I'm not new to crochet, so it's difficult for me to tell, but you may just want to look up a tutorial on how to make chain stitches first, or how to crochet a chain, just to practice, to learn how to hold the hook and how to handle it and things like that. Apologies if you can hear coughing. My husband's office is right above where I'm sitting, and he's got a bit of a cough at the moment. I don't know whether you can hear it on camera or not. Okay, so yarn over the hook. So I go over from right to left rather than that way. I go over that way. I see some people go over that way. I think that's wrong. I go over that way. And when you pull the hook through, the yarn through, it is easier if you can keep tension on the yarn. So if you can't do that with your left hand and you nip with the yarn in your right hand, try and hold the yarn in your right hand. It's not the correct way of doing it, but it is a way that loads of crochets do. So don't worry about if somebody tells you it's the wrong way. It's not really. Loads of crochets hold the yarn like that. But if you can keep the working yarn under a bit of tension, it makes it easier. And then just grab the yarn under the hook, and then if you try and pull it through like that, it won't go. So you have to kind of twist it down and then slide it through and back again. And then try not to make it too tight. So I have been deliberately trying to do this a little bit looser. I've probably been doing it tighter now that I'm filming the tutorial, but I'm trying to not make these stitches that are on my hook too tight. You want them to be loose enough so you can comfortably get through them. Like that. And I'm just going to quickly crochet along. Okay, that stitch there was a little bit too loose. I'm going to undo that one and tighten it up a little bit. Make sure you catch 2 loops from the front and 2 loops from the back, and you just want it to be the cast off loops that you catch, because if you go further in you end up with quite a chunky seam. So doing this, you end up with a seam that looks like that. So it's a little bit raised and you can feel it, but it's not too chunky. And then on the other side, it looks like that. So there are a few rounds of garter stitch at the edge. So I'm just going to quickly finish this row, and then I'll show you at the end what it looks like and how to finish off the row. Now I've come right to the end, so I only have a few stitches left. So I'm going to go in, through, through. I like to hold it so that I sandwich it kind of between my thumb and my index finger, and then I find it a bit easier to go in and through. That's where I kind of wove in the end, I think. That looks a bit funny, so that must be where I joined, like finished my cast off, I don't know. And then you want to try and, oh, I got some of the blue with me there, I don't know why. You want to try and finish with the one next to the yarn over next to the, let's do one more, next to the spine stitch. There we go. That's the last one. And then to finish it off, I just take the yarn over, pull it through, just to kind of fasten it over the edge, and then get my scissors and I cut that, and I just leave a bit of a tail and then pull it through. So I did strips of 3 and then I joined 2 lots of 3 together. You can just do the full length strips straight away if you know the order you're going to do it in. I wasn't 100% sure when I started joining them. I thought there might have been a chance that I might change my mind, so that's why I did 3 in groups of 3, and then I joined 2 groups of 3 together to make 6. But you can do your full length strips to start with, and then you start joining all the strips. This is going to be a little bit more difficult to show. I might try and lay this out on my bed later when I finish the whole thing, and then show you what it looks like. So we start here. So I got one strip of 6 here and 1 here, and then so I held them next to each other, and then I just joined. You just got to try and make sure that you roughly match when you get to the corners. Some of them aren't great, but that's fine. And then if we move it up, so you just keep joining, and then here it changes color to another 3 color gradient right to the end. So this can be a blanket, it can be a shawl, it can be a scarf, depending on how you join it together. So you will end up with, I've got 2 ends here. Okay, so let me show you how I've been weaving them in. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, but this is what I've been doing. If you get any gaps in the corner here, then you can use this and go across the gap. I haven't got any holes there, but you can kind of go across the gap like that to kind of fasten it off, and then choose one of these seams. You have 4 of them to choose from, and then just take the 2 strands in opposite directions. So if I'm going that one with this one, then I'll go in another direction with the other one. You can hear something. It's my dog. He wants to try and get into the kitchen. I will get up and let him into the kitchen soon. I think he's not very happy with me. But I use these needles with really big loopy eyes. Eyes, is that what it's called? Because I like them, but they're a little bit of a pain with these small ones. Okay, like that. And then I just go a few stitches back. So whether you go right through to the bottom of this seam, or whether you go through the top, doesn't really matter. Do whatever you want. So I just go back a few stitches, and then get my scissors and cut it off. So that's what I do with all those. What I did last night when I joined these is I joined 2 strips and then I wove in all the ends from that strip, those 2 strips, and then I joined the next strip, wove in the ends. Actually, no, I didn't weave in the ends. Then I decided, because I wanted to film this tutorial today, that I would just keep joining and then do the ends later. Okay, so this is the edge of the blanket. So you want to make sure to weave in this then to kind of smooth over this edge a bit. Now, this matched the colour I had on the other end of this row, but it does not match these colours here. That's fine, I don't really mind that. I mean, you could change colour halfway. So what I'm doing is I'm just going across the join here. So I'm just going across the join a couple of times, just to kind of smooth that out and neaten that up a little bit. And then I'm going to do the same thing I'm going to go in, out, in, out, in, out. That there is the end from that square when I finished it, when I cast off, and then I'll just go back a few stitches. There we go, that's enough. Then snip that one. I hope you enjoyed that video on how to join these squares. You can obviously join yours however you like. You can use crochet like I did. You can sew them together using mattress stitch if you prefer. Whatever you want to do. I decided that the easiest and quickest way for me to join them was to crochet them together. So that's what I've shown you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, just ask them below. And remember, you can find the links to the pattern and everything else below this video. If you have any questions, please ask. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I release videos every single week, sometimes twice a week. I do a combination of podcast episodes, vlogs, knitting, product and yarn reviews, magazine reviews. When I have a pattern in a magazine, I usually show you a bit about that magazine. I have separate videos that talk about specific patterns I designed, lots of different stuff. So I hope you will stick around and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching.